A new name for protection, a shield. It looks like a heart made of fruit. Next morning, I woke up, took a shower, put on a t-shirt, some shorts, went into the kitchen, surprised that Mom had already putting the finishing touches on her masterpiece for the day. Morning, I rumbled. Sorry I slept long. Hey, baby. She glanced up from her work. On the table were the guts of watermelons and the cantaloupe and one green melon. Mom had cut them all up into different pieces, each chunk a different shape. So, when I put them all together, they were three-colored hearts. No big deal. This was an easy one anyway, she explained. Didn't need any oranges or even toothpicks, so I went on and I knocked it out without you. It's supposed to be a heart, right? I asked, hoping it was supposed to be a heart. Not sure how I would respond if she told me it was her version of a pair of sneakers or something like that. I leaned in for a better look. Nope, it's a knight's shield, she explained. Which, I guess, is kind of the same thing, huh? Mom looked down at the thing I was thought was a heart, then looked back up at me. I knew what she was doing. She was doing that mom thing, the check it. She was trying to take the temperature room of me to make sure there wasn't no fever, make sure everything was cool. But everything wasn't cool, not yet, not until the coolest dude I knew fixed the coolest thing he ever did, the coolest thing he ever did. If my dad did what he said he was going to do, which I wasn't so sure about, because I wasn't so sure about anything when it came to him, all then maybe things would start to be okay. But I was going to have to wait and see. And so would he. And at this moment, it would be she. But it was still morning. And she was still my mother. And we still had to go deliver the shield thing that looked like a heart thing to whomever was getting a shield thing made as a fruit, a gift. So I just smiled. Held it for 3 seconds because if I held it longer, she knew I was forcing it. And if I held it shorter, then it ain't really a smile. Hold it for exactly 3 seconds, and my mom stops holding her breath. I open up the fridge, grab the milk and juice, and I didn't eat dinner last night. I was starving. So I couldn't wait to eat my cereal, which she left on the counter for me, as usual. Mom set her knife on the table and came over to me, leaned against the counter, just like Dad did when he first told me about the name Goose. Last night, your dad got to bed late. He told me what he told you. I chewed on the side of my jaw and questioned if my timing on smile was off. Was a second too long? I ain't saying nothing but spoon cereal. But before I could get it to my mouth, she touched my wrist, lowered my hand. Lou, I know you're disappointed in him, but he's got stuff. That starter he told you about. Well, that's kind of like him being a lightning bolt. There's not a lot, there's not always a known reason why kid has stutter issue. So imagine if you're the one in a class who struggles, who's teased. Ain't gotta, I ain't gotta imagine that. I was fighting against my attitude phase, but could feel my eyebrows dipping into the disrespectful zone. I know you don't. Sorry, I know, but think about how you started running and got confidence. Well, what if you didn't? What if you weren't as good as you are? Or what if no one was there to tell you you were good? When I met him, your dad was a street dude. At least that's what everyone said. But after I started talking to him, I realized he was more than what people thought about him. He was more than his stutter, more than Goose. That's why we worked. I understand all that, Mom. Seriously, but what's that got to do with him basically stealing a gold medal? She nodded. pressing her arms gently on her little belly bump, and, and sighed. Nothing. He's wrong. And I'm saying it. He's human too. And sometimes the jokes cut deep, deeper than we think. And if we don't deal with them and we don't figure out how to somehow get over them, move past them, we might have no idea what they can do to us. I stayed silent, just picked up my spoon, back up, and ate. Today's delivery was on the other side of town, out by Sonny's house. Actually, a little past there, in a neighborhood I never even heard of, probably because it ain't really feel like a neighborhood at all. This area is filled with nothing but steel and glass buildings, warehouses, almost no people. And there was a whole world of was it was like the whole world was over. Only thing left were parking lots full of navy blue Camaros. We listened to Mary J. Blige the whole journey. My mother singing her heart out louder than anyone should ever sing anything. And she only turned it down once we pulled into one of those big, almost empty lots. I think this is the place, she said, checking her paper, then craning her neck to see the number on the building, 300. You got this, runner? And as usual, with the shield on my lap, I open the door. You're going, you're going in there and down to suite 106. The company is called Sword and Stone. Got it. I got out of the car, hit the building's buzzer, and security guard let me in. I signed my name on the sign-in sheet, which always makes me feel like a grown-up, on official business because we were basically my name means something. Where it says signature, it's just like writing a squiggly line and pretend it says Lucas Richardson like everyone else does. Signature basically means sloppy name. Suit 106, right down the hall. The man behind the desk, who had been, I think, watching a movie on his phone, pointed. When I got down the hall carrying the plastic case, ribboned and stickered as usual, and made it to the big metal door marked 106, I knocked softly. No answer. Knock, knock again. A little harder, trying to balance the plastic case on one hand so I didn't drop it and have to explain why the shield looks like a little heart somebody was trying to give you, but the door was locked and I couldn't knock and hold the case at the same time. Thankfully, none of this happened, and instead I could hear somebody coming. I could hear the doorbell jiggling. The door cracked. Music came blaring out. Rock music. This screamy stuff that makes me want to say, use your words like your mother, like my mother. The lady dressed in filthy overalls peeked out. It was a big metal mask covered in her face. And if it wasn't for her voice, I wouldn't have known if she was a man or a woman. She was holding one of those fire gun things, like one of those make one of those that make torches. Not what I was expecting in the building with a security guard and a sign-in sheet, but whatever. May I help you? She yelled. I tried to figure out the best way to begin. Over the loud banging, screeching guitars. Hold on, the lady said, noticing I was holding something. She stepped away from the door, turned down the music, came back, the mask now flipped up. Hey, sorry about that. You the fruit people? Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Lucas, and I have a package for Martina Gonzalez. That's me, she said. You ordered it? Yep, for myself. Well, for the whole workshop, but mainly for myself. Pulled the door open a little. Pulled the door open all the way. Come on in. I walked into what seemed like a dungeon, even though even though it was just suite 106. It smelled like burnt toast, and it looked like Marina Gonzalez and the other people who were there, two guys hammering a piece of metal, hated the place, like they were trying to scrape it up and burn it down. Marina Gonzalez set a big fire gun down, then took the plastic case from my hands. She set it on the table right by the door, took the cover off, and smiled. The shield, she noted, satisfied. She pinched the piece of fruit from me. Nice. I looked at it. Swords leaned against the wall in the corners like real swords. Helmets and big pieces of metal stacked up like giant plates. What is this place? I asked, feeling like I was in some kind of movie, like dungeons where dragons were going to come burst in on us any second. This is Sword and Stone, Marina Gonzalez said, telling me what I already knew. We make anything a knight would need. A knight like nighttime? No, a knight like Sir Lancelot. Like who? King Arthur? Ah, I know that one. So then you understand her name. Not really. Marina laughed. The story of the sword in the stone, short version, the sword stuck in the stone, only if you were destined king could you remove it. Only the person to carry the tradition of the kingdom would be able to pull the sword from the stone. King Arthur was the guy. I nodded. But what do we do here? Right. Well, we make swords and helmets and lances and all kinds of cool stuff. The armor, Marina pointed to the crew. Shields. But why? Because it's awesome, she said. I mean, there are all kinds of people who collect this stuff. A bunch of fairs that use it, even night-themed restaurants, but mainly because it's awesome and tradition. I nodded again, totally. But I ain't never seen nobody just walk around with armor on or a shield. Like it would be wild to see Mrs. Clark outside holding a sword, but probably wouldn't mess with her limestone then. But it wasn't happening. But I nodded anyway. And all of a sudden, one of the guys who was hammering in the back walked up, pulled a metal spike out of his pocket, stabbed a piece of cantaloupe. Hey, he said. Hey. Then I looked at Marina Gonzalez with a tight-lipped smile. I gotta go. When I was back outside, my mother had her door open, and first I thought she was on her way in to get me. Then which would have been even weirder moment, but then I realized she wasn't, not at all. She was leaning out of the car, puking. It was gross. In the way home, while I told her the dragon slayers were just dropped the shield off too, she was telling me over and over again that I smelled like I'd been hanging out inside of a barbecue grill. She had to pull over so that she could throw up again. She kept saying she was okay. That's the worst part about just part about having a baby. And then it was way worse with me. Thanks. Hey, sweetheart, giving birth to lightning don't come easy. She grinned and groaned at the same time. Need me to drive? I asked. Mom's face looked like what brown would look like if it could be green. But she still started laughing, only because she ain't known where, only because she ain't know where there was this time. Dad let me drive. Not that far, only for a little bit, down the block, so I knew I could get us home if we needed to. No, she swallowed a burp, frowned. I think I got it.